Okay, Capricorn, welcome to Catalyst Energies and welcome to your astrology forecast for our Cancer full moon on January 17th, 2022. So welcome back, everyone. If you're new to this channel, welcome. Thank you for being here. My name is Dee. I am so grateful that you're here. And of course, to my patrons on Subscribestar, I truly appreciate your investment, not only in this content and for me to create it, but in your own journey as well. So I appreciate that and very much thank you for that. So, Capricorn, are you ready? Woo, this full moon in Cancer, it's finally time. It's finally time for Capricorn. It has been a long process, I think, of personal transformation and metamorphosis, and it's about to be initiated in a very cathartic way. So there is a general astrology report that you can access either at the end of this video through a link at the very end, or on BitChute. You just scroll down and you can find the second lunar quarter and the Cancer full moon for January 17th, 2022. And you can get an overview of all of the transits that are happening throughout the course of this week leading up to the full moon. But Capricorn, of course, all of the cardinal signs, which are Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, and Libra, I think are going to be, especially in the later degrees of those signs, like 25 degrees up to 30 degrees. Wow. All of those people are going to have very direct impact from this full moon, because it's going to be either along the axis of your actual personality, as we see with Cancer and Capricorn, but also for Aries and Libra, it will be in the axis of your power, right? Personal security, and in the area of institutional power. And a moon in Cancer, number one, the moon is at home in Cancer. Number two, the fourth house is the territory of the Cancer element. And so Aries and Libra as well, to have this full moon be along that axis, they also are going to be impacted very strongly, I would say, by this full moon. But Capricorn, oh Capricorn, we are all going through a very distinct and powerful transformation of the social and political cohesion that we call society. Right, the matrix of reality is crumbling and being demolished. Control in a controlled way, and Pluto in its destruction, in order to initiate rebirth, creates fertile ground. Right, that is part of the decomposition process in nature in general, right? The plant dies, it decomposes and goes through the process of then fertilizing the ground for new growth. And this is what ultimately the phoenix emerging from the ashes really does so beautifully represent. So for Capricorn people, this has been a process that has been going on for a while, since Pluto came into Capricorn in 2008. But now with the sun here, with Pluto at this full moon in Cancer, and it's the Pluto return of the United States natal chart, Capricorn, your transformation that is about to be, initiated. Well, I would say it's been really initiated with the onset of the new moon, this lunar cycle with the new moon in Capricorn. But the sun and Pluto coming together in a conjunction like this is very cathartic, and there's some very distinct power struggles that could be going on. But at the end of it, Pluto truly has the final word and will either initiate some sort of powerful illumination and reckoning of this, or it'll just be an ego battle that ultimately the ego will lose. But so if you're a Capricorn person, rising sun, moon, even if your ascendant is your progressive ascendant is Capricorn, there's something here that is, you are the model for the model of your transformation, your persona, your subjective experience of who you are. That transformation is the model for society in general, and the materium that we consider reality as a whole. And so you are so important to what's happening. Now, what the full moon will do for all of us is show us, the area that Cancer represents for each sign is going to be different, but ultimately it'll show us the structural integrity of that which we have invested in order to, not even invested, but where we find ourselves emotionally safe and secure in Cancer, right? The moon is going to be incredibly sensitive here. It's at the last degrees of Cancer, so it's going to be very powerful, and the feels are going to be off the charts. So for Capricorn, it's really going to show at the full moon very clearly and distinctly what aspects of your binding agreements, your relationships, your commitments, the seventh house, what relationships you give yourself to, will they hold you emotionally as your personhood is going through the most cathartic, transformational process you can imagine, right? And it's inextricably linked with the process that the United States as an entity is going through with the natal chart as well, as a country, right? So Capricorn, it's no joke, and it really goes right to the essence of who you are as a person, because power and cohesion and the law, these are all Capricorn traits. And if you have strong Capricorn, if you are rising moon or sun Capricorn, you find yourself and your identity very much motivated and explained by this ambition to go and to create and to build and to expand and to create something that provides, right? You contribute to your community, and that really is where your identity comes from. And so since that whole dynamic is changing for all of us, it's going right to the essence of who you are. So it's very exciting. I feel very excited for you, but I also exercise some I don't want to say caution, but just be aware that the full moon is meant to show where the holes are in our lifeboat, our emotional lifeboat. And for the Capricorn person, it's absolutely in the relationships, your marriage, your business partnerships, your anything that you commit to and give yourself over to brings out the Cancerian nature in you. And so you will feel it will be very sensitive and very powerful feeling of, oh, is this going to hold? Will this hold? Is this deep enough? And this is where Chiron is for you, is in your fourth house, Capricorn. So the essence of family, the essence of cohesion at an emotional level, right? Your spiritual community, your family traditions, your marriage, your home and family of origin, right? Where you learned who you were. And your character is the fourth house. This, for the Capricorn person, this is where the wounding of the inner child keeps coming up, right? So a lot of these wounds and a sense of victim or savior, right? The sense that we identify with that which has been imposed upon us. Chiron has been ruthless, not because Chiron is ruthless, but because of what it brings up is just a consistent recognition that these very basic inner child wounds are being impacted and activated all the time, and it pulls us off of the focus on the potential of who we can be. And so for the Capricorn person, it's really been in this area of, and there's a sense of intimacy here because it's your immediate relationships, but it also is about the core of who you are, that supports you and stabilizes you in the world. This is consistently being brought up in terms of these inner child wounds and triggers for the Capricorn person. So the reason I bring that up is because the Cancerian element and the moon in Cancer, traditionally are found in the fourth house. So those areas are just linked together in general. Excuse me. So, oh my gosh. Sorry, guys. I hate doing that, but sometimes it's just necessary so I don't have to do like 100 takes. Because I don't have editing software yet, one thing at a time. Capricorn. So Are your relationships going to be strong enough to hold your incredible feels as you go through this cathartic, destructive release in your very nature? Now, Venus has been here. She has been allowing for a deep inventory into who you are and how you identify and show yourself to the world, what it means to be who you are. And if you've been paying attention and on this journey spiritually and in your own evolution, then you've set some intentions already to let parts of your persona go. So it's important to realize in your own feeling and your sensitivity what is holding you and what needs to go in terms of your relationships, so that you can go through this process in a way that doesn't also emotionally destroy. And that's going to be the challenge for many of us, especially many people who are still just like not truly tuned in to what is happening here on this planet. So, and home and family, this Chiron, this is where Chiron is making the most impact on those areas of safety and security and where you come from. So now there is a sextile with Mercury here in your second house. You have Mercury and Saturn here in your second house. Mercury is going to be retrograde by the time of the full moon, but now, as I'm recording this on the 11th, it's still direct. And either way, there's two sextiles to Chiron during this week. One while it's direct and one right after it stations retrograde. And you also have Saturn here in your second house too, which if it were Capricorn, and so Saturn rules this chart, right? Saturn rules this chart and is your planetary ruler as a Capricorn. It is paternal. It is powerful. It is leadership, right? And it is also time and a sense of authority. And sometimes too, just putting your foot down. And in the second house, it really just like makes your resource realm so stabilized that there's almost inertia, right? And it can be very difficult to get out of this if, especially in a natal chart, for instance. But it's in Aquarius, right? And so you are able to have this Capricornian nature of who you are embedded in the world around you. And now Mercury's here, and so the mental realm is very fixated as well on the resources that are all around you. So resources are energetic, they're financial, they are your house, they are your job, they are your body, not the function of your body, and certainly not your overall health and wellness, but your literal body, your physical body, the land you live on, the money in your bank account, or whatever assets you have, and genetic assets, right? This goes along with the body, right? Your DNA, your traditions, ancestrally, all of those things are yours to use, yours to be within, right? And it's also the natural world as it is. So you have a sense of authority and stability and a sense of power and leadership, I would say, in this realm. And now a lot of the mental activity is in this realm about your resources and how to think outside of the box about them, how to maybe problem solve around resources. Maybe your mental and your intellect is your primary resource. I would argue that that's probably the case too. And your ability to think outside of the box, your ability to be innovative is a resource because it's Aquarius, and freedom. All of these things are a resource. And the collective consciousness is the resource that you identify the most with as a Capricorn, because that's what you're moving towards all the time, is ambition and goals and expanding and growing and becoming more integrated, but also larger, right? The network gets bigger and bigger and bigger and unfolds and unfolds and unfolds, right? That is the nature of Capricorn. And so to have the energy of the collective consciousness in itself as your resource is very powerful. And Saturn is here. This is going to allow for, it's like Mercury right now in this sextile to Chiron is just pulling in this incredibly high energy into just like right into the third eye, right? Into your own personal inner inner mind's eye. And it can really be amplified, and if it's directed at this crystal, and this crystal is who you are, the very essence of who you are as a person. But if there's a smudge on the crystal, like there is when you have Chiron here at overlaying that crystal, like it's a false hologram, an identity that's not really you, you're not able to really fully, it can refract the laser beam, right? It can impact it in a negative way. And so there's a sextile here that's like showing where the smudges are on the lens, and in particular on the lens of what amplifies your own core stability and emotion. And so I think that this sextile is just showing the Capricorn person that, yes, you are changing. You as a person are changing, but the world around you is something that is beyond just the materium, and you have your ruling planet here in this area, and now Mercury just really putting that mental energy towards that resource and directing it right into all of these like inner child wounds in your history and your home and family, or in your emotional, your realm of emotional security. Wow, that is really, really powerful. I think it's going to really help to find that stability in your relationships as the very essence of who you are is changing. So, wow, Capricorn, you're about to go through something and you have been. You definitely have been, but this full moon is going to show you exactly what you need to see about your relationships, and what is absolutely working and supporting you, and what absolutely is just like, oh my gosh, this is just more surface area than I thought it was. It's not actually as deep as it needs to be. And it might even like reinforce a lot of the smudge on your lens here. So that's something to consider. Now, Black Moon Lilith is also in Gemini. This is the last little bit of Gemini we're going to have, as well as Mars here in Sagittarius, because the nodes are about to shift. And so Lilith and Mars, respectively, are giving us one last push and a primal emergence in the mind and the higher mind. And for the Capricorn person, we're looking at the realm of surrender and the realm of surrendering to the self. Now, we know that there's going to be space made here in the realm of identity, so that when Mars comes into the first house of Capricorn, which Mars loves Capricorn because it gives it something to work towards, something substantial to work towards, an actual goal to put our energy towards, and it meets Venus in her direct motion, man, this is going to be seriously fertilizing the seed straight up in the realm of your identity. So there is something that is going to come and be activated here. And the whole part of this cycle, this lunar cycle, was to create the space. So don't be afraid, because that's what we're all here to do anyway. Lilith is something primal, something that absolutely needs to be said, and we can't do anything to stop that, because it's the original blueprint of the sacred feminine, of which we are all part. So in your sixth house, just know that you spent a lot of your daily activity and focus at a soul level over the last year and a half in actual research and analysis, right? Gemini in the sixth house is the analytical and the detail-oriented daily minutia of your life has been very much in the realm of research and ideas and concepts. Maybe you're writing all the time. Maybe you're researching, analyzing data. There is just a little bit more. It's primal. It's deeper than us individually. It's connected to the planetary history, and she will be heard whether we like it or not. And so this is going to come out in some sort of crisis in capacity, because that's always the sixth house, is usually in some sort of crisis capacity. It's going to be very tumultuous, okay? In terms of, hidden enemies is what I'm getting big time. Something that is just the dregs of all of this work that we've done with the North Node in Gemini and the daily activities. You've really disciplined yourself, Capricorn, in the realm of ideas and researching and being very meticulous about ideas, right? This is important, because there's going to be one last hidden enemies, even if it's your own self, or need to come out. And the square to Neptune at the time of this full moon, when this is happening, is a real challenge to a much broader humanitarian perspective that's come into your communications, into your thought processes, right? This is something that, although Jupiter is now here in your third house and is helping at least to manage what has otherwise been a very nebulous and boundaryless perspective in your words, your expressions, and in your everyday interactions. Yes, there's management here. There's a sense of representation and management, definitely spiritually, right? Jupiter is also at home in Pisces. And so infinite space of ideas is a great place for infinite expansion and representation. So this is good, because otherwise it's just been like your own mental and your own mental world, your own communicative process, right? The way that your nervous system is functioning, the overlay has been so nebulous and broad spectrum in terms of a spiritual evolution or a spiritual journey or a transcendent experience, that it's been, I think, kind of difficult for Capricorn over the many years that Neptune has been here to really have any kind of singular a thought process that's outside of this. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because what it has done, actually, and this is why this square is so potent for Capricorn, is that what it has done is opened up the whole world right into your face and in your immediate experience. And so it's forced the Capricorn person to really get meticulous about their daily mental habits and what they're doing. And that's been very important. So whatever comes up, that it's still this primal thing that needs to come up. Hidden enemies, maybe it's not so much your enemy, or maybe it's your own, the enemy of your own shadow. Either way, it's going to challenge this much more humanitarian aspect of your daily interactions, or the fact that it's the collective spiritual experience that is right here in your daily interactions. You know what I mean? That is just going to blow this out of the water, right? You have to contend with whatever this is. Now, the best way to do that is if we go back to the beginning of this lunar quarter, which started with our Aries moon let's go back one more day. Our Aries moon was in a square to the Capricorn sun. Aries moon in your fourth house. There is a spark of remembering of who you truly are, Capricorn, in your family, in your own history, in your inner life, and where you feel protected emotionally and emotionally vulnerable, right? The core of who you truly are. And the moon likes to be in the fourth house, even though it's pretty spicy here with it being in Aries. This is more of the spark of divinity within you. You felt it inside, in this subtle feeling-based realm. It's just that every time, Chiron is, again, the smudge on your lens here, until you realize you can put your hand through that mirror and just go right through it. And that's the moon in this fourth house. And remember, oh, that's who I am. I remember who I am. So it certainly had challenged the sun in your first house, that is much more about identifying yourself with the whole. But this is important to remember, because again, this is the area which the full moon will be in. Moon in Cancer is a fourth house thing. So this is Capricorn is just This is just incredible. What you will learn about yourself and moving forward, and remembering who you are at the core of who you are, even though so much has been trying to pull you off of that incredible depth. Geez. The other aspect about this, oh yeah, that's what I was going to talk about, is Lilith. I can't get past this Lilith part. So keep in mind that it is in the same basic position as it was opposite the lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse, or the solar eclipse on December 4th was in Sag, in your 12th house, the house of endings, right? This is for the Capricorn person. That cycle of the emergence of past karma is really in the realm of past karma, of your 12th house, of endings, right? It initiated a cycle that will find its completion at the end of the eclipse cycle in a way that's tying up loose ends, that is rectifying some sort of spiritual karma big time, okay? So while that has been happening, what's going on the ground here, like in your own personal life, is way more relevant, because you can see everything's at the bottom of the chart with the houses that are relevant to the individual consciousness. So this is all about you, Capricorn, in your own development right now. So one of the things, not only was this opposite the eclipse, right? Something that needs to come out about your own technique and your own virtuosity in terms of the way that you exercise discipline and consistency in your daily life. It's something in your actual resources itself, right? And the power in the world around you, and the way that you can anchor yourself into the world of the collective consciousness in a way that is a very strong and stable base in order for this to find its expression, right? You can let this primal urge out of you in terms of your daily activity, your disciplines, your healing process, right? It can, this virtuosity that is you've tapped into, that is so much deeper than yourself, is able to come out because there's an anchor. There is like a stake in the ground, that's Saturn here, that is holding you to the the world around you, that is made up of energy and is made up of the collective consciousness. This is where it starts. So at the third quarter, or first quarter moon, I'm so sorry, Capricorn, I'm so confused with my words, not with the channeling, but the words. Sometimes I just get ahead of myself. That is important. Now Jupiter, like I said, is here to manage this really nebulous mental sphere that has just been in la la land for years now. And it could certainly have been in la la land in terms of I am surrendering to the will of God, to the will of divine source, to compassion, and to unconditional love. And that has come into my daily speaking, my daily writing, my daily activity and interaction. But if it hasn't, Jupiter's going to come in and clean up a mess here, right? Clean up a spiritual mess that is just like, okay, now it's time to start managing this headspace and give it some understanding and some meaning behind it. So let's see. Capricorn, I think that's plenty to work with, because it's all about what's happening and this Black Moon Lilith in your 6th house is really speaking to me. So hidden enemies, and even if that enemy is yourself, it's okay. It's okay. Let it come out. And yes, it'll challenge this spiritual and very broad spectrum experience in your actual, 3rd house is Gemini. So in your words, in your communications, in your thought process, but it's going to be very cathartic, as well as the Pluto-Sun conjunction is going to be very cathartic. So Capricorn, what you go through in your own personhood is going to be a model for what we are all going to experience together. So thank you in advance, and thank you for being present in your own power and standing in some real fearlessness and some real ambition, because that is really the calling card of Capricorn people. So if you're interested in a reading or energy work to support your process further, Capricorn, you can check out the links in the description box below, or you certainly can stand by and check out the end of this video and the cool song at the end, and you can get more information as well. So next time we check in for a forecast, it'll be for the new moon in Aquarius. That'll be setting new seeds of intention for the actual material world around you. And I'm excited for that. And so take care of yourself, Capricorn. Take care of each other. Be good to yourself, and, execute and exhibit the fearlessness and the leadership qualities that you really do exhibit. Because if you come out the other side of this catharsis, wow. It's going to be pretty amazing. So take care, Capricorn. I'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, maybe I should do that. Yes. Okay. Bye, Capricorn.